L'Assemblée générale va maintenant entendre une allocution de Son Excellence Madame Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, présidente de la République du Libéria. Je prie le protocole de bien vouloir accompagner Son Excellence, la Présidente. Au nom de l'Assemblée générale, j'ai l'honneur de souhaiter la bienvenue à Madame Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, présidente de la République de Libéria, et de l'inviter à prendre la parole devant l'Assemblée générale.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This 72nd regular session of the United Nations General Assembly is being convened at a time of historic transition in Liberia and during a period of acute challenges to our global order. Today, we face the threat of climate change, the violence of terrorism, the risk and indignation of migration, and a nuclear escalation on the Caribbean Peninsula. Moreover, there is a race against time to accommodate a restless youthful population in search of opportunity and a brighter future. Mr. Secretary General, I congratulate you on your election. Your progressive and creative leadership assures us of your commitment and your action to reform the United Nations for increased efficiency, better coordination, and general parity by 2021 at the senior leadership level. My delegation is pleased with the initial steps taken toward the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. I congratulate you, Mr. Miroslav Lajcak, on your election as President of the General Assembly. Your vast experience and strong diplomatic skills assure us that you will steer the affairs of this 72nd regular session in an effective manner. The Liberian delegation offers you its full cooperation and support. I would also like to recognize Mr. Peter Thompson of Fiji for his stewardship over the past year that saw the launch of the Sustainable Development Agenda and the successful conduct of the first Ocean Conference. Our theme this year, focusing on people striving for peace and a decent life for all on a sustainable planet, is one which aptly captures a universal aspiration. I hope that at the conclusion of our deliberations, we will forge a consensus and renew our commitment as leaders to transform the lives of our people and meet our responsibility to our planet. The work of the United Nations has never been more important to the search for peace and the sustenance for global stability than it is today. By its charter and purposes, the United Nations still represents the genius of our collective ability to live together in peace and harmony. It still offers great hope to a troubled world. Liberians bear witness to this truth and remain grateful to the United Nations and all of its organs and agencies for the critical security interventions and continued support toward Liberia's recovery and democratic aspirations. Mr. President, 11 years ago, in September 2006, I stood before this august body as the newly elected president of the Republic of Liberia and the first woman to be democratically elected as head of state on the African continent. When I speak to women in Africa and across the world, I am humbled by the inspiration drawn from my experience. The next generation must belong to women. Today, I address you for the last time as I bring to closure my 2 terms of elected office. Liberia is just 22 days away from historic legislative and presidential elections. It will mark the first time in 73 years that political power will be handed over peacefully and democratically from one elected leader to another. This paves the way for the next generation of Liberians to lead the country into the future. The election will signal the irreversible course that Liberia has embarked upon to consolidate its young post-conflict democracy. Indeed, democracy is on the march in Liberia, and I believe on an irreversible path forward on the African continent. I thank all of our partners who have made meaningful contributions, financial and in kind, to ensure peaceful elections, and those organizations which will deploy observer missions to attest to the integrity of the elections process. Mr. President, I assume office after 25 years of development reversal, which was further compounded by a 15-year civil war. We have made great progress and laid the foundation for the next democratic government. We have reshaped the armed forces of Liberia and the Liberian National Police, professionalized our customs and immigration services, and small Liberian Coast Guard. We are proud to report that since the formal turnover of security responsibilities to our government, Liberia has remained stable, peaceful, and secured. We transformed the economy from a growth rate of less than 0 to more than 8.7% in 2013, until the health crisis and plummeting commodity prices brought a downturn to our economic recovery. Liberia has adjusted. We are resilient, embracing diversification. Our focus today is towards strengthening the agriculture sector for value addition and infrastructure development, with emphasis on roads and energy industrialization. Previously dysfunctional public institutions now have the capacity to respond to the needs of our citizens through decentralized county service centers with ownership by strong local governments. And from the tragedy of the health crisis, we are strengthening our healthcare systems, prioritizing prevention, and delivering capacity at the community level. Impact is being felt. Life expectancy progressed from a low of 47 years to a hopeful 62 years, with reduction in maternal death from 1,400 to 1,100, an annual rate of reduction of 3.4%. Poverty rate has decreased from 63.8% in 2007 to 50.9% in 2016. Infrastructure has been repaired and restored, and we continue to rehabilitate damaged roads and construct new ones. With the increasing provisions of electricity, potable water, and technology, cities and towns are bustling with new life. It is now possible to receive voice and data on your phones and mobile devices from virtually everywhere in the country at competitively low prices. Liberia has enjoyed the benefit of multilateralism through full support provided by the United Nations, the African Union, and the Economic Community of West African States. From a pariah state, Liberia has gradually regained the confidence of nations and even risen to assume leadership roles in regional bodies, specifically ECOWAS and the Mono River Union. I was personally privileged to play a role in the formulation of the Sustainable Development Agenda as co-chair of Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's high-level panel on SDGs, and in framing the African Common Position as chair of the African Union's high-level committee. Mr. President, there is so much more to share about Liberia's post-conflict transformation, how we have empowered ordinary citizens and a shared sense of citizenship, giving women, including market and rural women, a voice and the right to be heard. We have continued to transfer the healthcare and educational system, engender the entrepreneurial spirit in our youth, in our vibrant media and civil society. We are establishing trans-border development corridors to enhance regional trade and strengthening the rule of law to tackle systemic undermining of integrity. Liberia is experiencing the birth of a post-conflict artistic community in song, hip-hop, painting, poetry, storytelling, and fashion. Liberia has come a long way. We could not have accomplished all of this without the world body, its political leadership, the generosity of its economic development support, humanitarian contributions, and most importantly, the stabilization and security provided to our country through the United Nations mission in Liberia, UNMIL. I applaud you, Mr. President, your predecessors, the member nations and UN civil servants around the world who have sacrificed for us to see the very first generation of school-age children growing up in an environment of peace, free of violence, of civil conflict. Liberia's transformation was powered by a world community that made a shared commitment to deliver peace to a country and a sub-region beset by civil conflict and cross-border destabilization. The UN and its partner nations were of one mind, and from that global unity, a new Liberian democratic state was born. Liberia is a post-conflict success story. It is your post-conflict success story. As I bid farewell to you today and to my fellow heads of state, I have a few parting thoughts. First, remember Liberia, which is making vibrant effort to apply the tenets of democracy. Consider the lives saved, the wealth created, the stability assured, because this global body led at a time of great uncertainty in our sub-region and around the world. I ask member states to continue to lead, to spread the values of democracy, human rights, and good governance, while strengthening solidarity for economic transformation and social resilience. It is often in times of transition that great leaders emerge and institutions are strengthened. Second, I remind you that 2 years ago, the 70th Assembly adopted a Sustainable Development Agenda containing 17 goals which encapsulate the aspirations of member states to eradicate poverty and reduce, if not eliminate, inequalities within and between countries. Our commitment to achieving these goals must be unwavering because progress here is inextricably linked to ending conflict and sustaining peace. Third, real progress remains elusive in the lingering effort to reform the Security Council and make it more responsive to current global realities. The call for this reform must be pursued more robustly toward early conclusion. Africa views are well articulated in the Esalen Consensus. Today, African nations are participating in strong regional and sub-regional bodies which are evolving, adopting measures to secure and preserve peace and security while strengthening economic integration. The United Nations, as a preeminent world body, must also continue to evolve to more effectively serve the common interests of all member states. You must continue to chart the way forward. In your capable hands rest the hope and the aspirations for a more just world, a more peaceful and humane world for the sake of our people and our planet. I thank you for your kind attention.
Au nom de l'Assemblée générale, je tiens à remercier Son Excellence Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, présidente de la République du Libéria, de l'allocution qu'elle vient de prononcer. Je demande aux représentants de bien vouloir rester assis pendant que nous prenons congé du chef de l'État.